So hi guys, another summer season here in Western New York is coming to a close. Today is October 22nd. The weather is beautiful today. Actually, most of October has been beautiful. We've gotten the cars out more than I thought we would. So I'm just going to talk a little bit today about the two Corvettes that I have. This is my 23 C8 and this is my 2000 C5. Don't let the looks fool you. It's really a C5. The drivetrain, everything, the chassis, it's all C5 except for some body parts. So we'll talk about that later. So I just wanted to make some comparisons today between the two cars, how I've driven them this summer, and we'll see what you think. And then, so both cars that I have are convertibles. There's quite a difference between them as far as top operation. The C5 can't get any more manual than what it is. Luckily, because it's so manual, you don't have much in the way of things breaking, but it takes a little getting used to it, so you don't look so awkward doing it. So first thing I do, windows down, then there's two releases up here by the sun visor. It's a slide bar that opens, go to the other side. And we're over here now. Open up this one. Next thing I want to do is start to fold it. So we bring this up, bring this up. Then inside there's a button to release the tonneau cover. That comes up. Then I'm able to push the back side in down into the compartment as I lower the top part in, and then I can close the tonneau cover. Okay guys, so on the C8 Corvette, the procedure's pretty simple. If the top is already up, you can take it down by the key fob. So all you do is hit unlock button twice and then hold down the roof button, and there we go. So it's like magic. So simple. So simple. And we're down and we're ready to drive. There's a difference in driving in these two cars with the tops down. In the C5, it feels so much more open. There's nothing around you. It is like a pure convertible. I will say it's a lot more breezy in the C5 with the top down than it is in the C8. But it feels good. And of course the C8, there's a lot more around you, buffeting the wind. You don't feel the openness as much as you do in the C5. Still, it's obviously very enjoyable. Another thing about these two cars is its looks. Even if you have a standard C5, I think the lines on it, the curves, are kind of sexy actually. It's more of a smooth car. I love the looks of it. Now you can't, I know most of you know what a real C5 looks like. This is not, I shouldn't even be showing this. It's not the body at all. But in general, it's a much more sleek and I think curvy, sexy car. The C8, as far as looks, much more exotic. Sharp lines, not a lot of flowing curves, but very exotic looking. Especially, I think, the convertible version with the nacelles. Once I saw this car, I said, because I was actually thinking of a used McLaren, like a 570S. But when this car was introduced and they had shown pictures of it in 2019, I said, oh, that's the one. So different from the curves of the C5. Absolutely love the looks of the C8. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the attention these two cars command when I take them out to car shows and that. I haven't taken this one, the C8, out to a car show at all this year. Last year, there was still some interest in it. Maybe it was still a little fresh to some people, so there was some passing interest in it. I had a friend of mine this year that took his C8, both got ours at the same time. He took his C8 to an all Corvette show this past summer. He said more than 80%, no, was it? He said more than 70% of the cars were C8s. He says there may have been 10% of C1s and 2s, maybe another 15% of 3, 4s, and 5s. He said it was majority was C8s. And I think it's like kind of getting overloaded now. I mean, there's got to be between, I'd say 150 and 160,000 of these C8s out on the road now. And I don't know the total number of C5s that were ever built, but I know this car, because of the body, there was only like 204 of these built between 2002 and 2010. So they're rare to see. So obviously I've taken this car out this year a lot, and the attention is just through the roof. I had one woman, she stood there and looked at this car for a solid 10 minutes. A hand on her face, just staring at the car. Finally, she looked up and over at me. She says, I can't stop staring at it. And I had another guy in a motorcycle behind me. I could see there was something going on with him because he was getting too close to the car and he was weaving in and out. And we finally got to a signal and he pulled up alongside. He goes, this thing's unbelievable. And he just asking questions. And that's what happened at the show. People get confused. They see it. They don't know what it is. They go up to the registration sticker. They say, a 2000 Corvette? That's a 2000 Corvette? How did this happen? And a lot of them say, well, is it a kit car? I'd say, no, it's not a kit car. And it's very professionally done. And so it's just interesting taking this car out and seeing the response to people. I'm sure it'll die down after a while because I don't really venture too far from where I live to go to the car shows. So eventually you see the same people over and over and that'll die off. But it's so much fun driving this car. So is the C8. That's fun too, a lot of fun. But this one is a different audience right now because of the rarity of the car. A couple of other facts about these two cars. In 2000, I believe a new Corvette convertible was about $46,000. In today's dollars, that would be $82,000. This car was $98,000, but it's got the Z51 package, it's got the 3LT. I mean, it could have easily saved $11,000, $12,000 off the $98,000, which would bring it very close to what this car cost in today's dollars. Now I also have the build sheet that has the breakdown of what this car costs to be changed out, and it's almost like, well, not quite double, but in today's dollars it would probably be around 150 grand to have this done today. And this is the rear trunk area. Things get rather hot back here after a while of driving. But between the trunk and the frunk, you have about 12.8 cubic feet of space. So this is the frunk in the C8. It's not too bad for space. Plus, anything you put in here keeps much cooler than in the back. With the top down on the C5, you have about 10.5 cubic feet of storage space. And with the top up, about 13.9 cubic feet of storage space. There's such a difference also in the quality of these two cars. Because I own both, I drive both, I can really compare it. And I could break it down by many things. I love heads-up display. I first had heads-up display on my 92. I had a 1992 Pontiac Bonneville SSE. That had heads-up for the first time I've ever used it, and I loved it. The C5 has heads-up also, but compared to the C8's heads-up, the technology, I mean, you can see the C8's so much clearer in sun or through sunglasses than you can in the C5. And I think it follows through to almost anything between these two cars. What I do like about the C5, maybe it's my age or whatever, but I like the analog gauges. I still like that part of it versus the total digital. As far as the switchgear goes, like the power window switches and the switches in general, the C5, the quality of that switchgear is a lot worse than the quality of the switchgear in the C8. It's so much improved. And I mean, it could compete with, I say, any of the other supercars. I mean, I've been in a Ferrari 458 Italia, and that's no great shakes in that interior. This interior I absolutely love. The wall of buttons, that doesn't bother me at all. I just love the interior. Seats, they're comfortable in the C5. They are, but they don't have the support, nearly the amount of support that the C8 seats have. This thing feels substantial, where this one, not so much. This car, I feel I could take on a long trip. This one, I couldn't. The other thing is too, and again, this car is now like 24 years old, so I have to give it some leeway there, but every creak and groan of this thing, you can hear little things rattling here and there, and and I don't, knock on wood, still hear anything from my C8. It's solid. Performance between the two cars. This one, 495 horsepower and that dual clutch automatic. This one, 350 horsepower and a 4-speed automatic. Obviously, a huge difference in performance between these two vehicles. Of course, this was basically the standard back in 2000, and of course, today's car, this is the standard performance today. The amount of technology in this car swamps this one. I mean, between the paddle shifters, between the PDR, between the navigation, you could go on and on. The electronic door openers, everything about the car, the technology that's gone into this far outweighs this car. I mean, it's progress. And back then, in 2000, this is what the standard was. And you didn't know any different. But to own both of these and to make the comparison, it's kind of interesting. I gotta say that both cars are a ton of fun to drive for different reasons, but they're tremendous cars. I actually love them both. I can't believe I actually have these two Corvettes, and we'll talk a lot more later on, especially about this one and how it came to be. You know, and with both tops down on these cars, both cars are beautiful. I love looking at both of them. Okay, so on the C5, to put the top back up, you just reverse the procedure. Reach in, you'll feel a little button here. That'll raise the tonneau cover. And then you can use your strength and just pull the top out, making sure everything clears. Get to this position, then grab the back side, flip it up, and then you can push the tonneau cover back down. Push the back down, push the front up, and then lock the levers. And that one's finished. The C8's a little different, putting the top up. Can't use the fob to put it up, but we have a button right here on the door. I'll start the car up. And now, put on the brake, put it in the up position. All done. Very simple also. Just pressing a button. You can use it for down or up. The fob, you can use the button for down. So there we have it, guys. Two beautiful Corvettes. I enjoy both of them immensely. I still can't believe I own both of these cars. So much fun. I want to thank you for watching. We're going to go into more detail on the C5 with the next video. Again, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.